Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and we are back with a new This Week at Bungie article. It's been about a month since we got one of these, and I recorded this video once already. Now, I've been watching Twitter, there's a couple of videos that have been made on this already that I have not watched yet to get other people's opinions. I want to give you mine, but I want to do them in a slightly different order than I had previously done. Because I want to start with the good things, and then I want to end on the things that I don't think are delivering as we would like. As opposed to starting and jumping into the bad stuff, I want to try and handle this in the best order I can. So it has been about a month. We know Dawning has ended since then. Trials has come back. We are getting the Season of the Hunt changes now, a little bit of story there. Things have been happening and the community has been saying a lot of stuff while there have been no TWABs coming out there. This one finally came, got delayed from last week to this week. And just a heads up to you guys as well, we do have the Last Word podcast tomorrow night. It's going to be Friday, January 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Ebontis. So if you want to come and be part of the discussion, which is definitely going to involve some of this, please come join me tomorrow. I'll have the Zer video up in the middle of the day, and then we'll be streaming 7 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Ebontis for the Last Word episode 132. We're going to have the IRL Titan. Dude's a beast, but also plays a ton of this game as well. So, honestly, should just be good to have a fun discussion about this one. All that out of the way, they gave a little preview of what was to come. So, over the next 4 weeks, they're going to have 4 of these TWABs. Obviously, they typically do them weekly. They just took a break for the holidays. But they're not going to dump all the info at once. Some things that they're working on, they may not have even decided yet because it's probably towards the Witch Queen expansion. Other things, they've got stuff here that are a bit more concrete. They might be nailing down a few more things before the next couple of TWABs. A lot of things are up in the air. Some things are positive here. Some things, not so much. And it really depends on where you're coming from as a player. Some people who are new to the game are probably going to enjoy most of this, if not everything. Some people have been doing this for years. I've been doing this this is going to be our 7th year now. Some of us are probably getting a little Destiny fatigue, and that's going to hit in some ways as well. So all of that preview out of the side, let's talk about this thing. So to get started for this TWAB, January 14th, the things that they want to talk about are going to be, you've got changes to vendors, which are mostly positive from what I can say. I've got a couple tweaks I wish we could see, but that's just me. I've got some Sandbox tuning for the Hunter Stasis abilities because they did a little Warlock tweaks previously. Hunter's on the chopping block now. And then, of course, as the Hunters likely will be falling, as you will see, then Titans are going to be the next ones to get looked at. So your subclass is probably not safe if you're a Titan. You just might get to enjoy it a little bit longer. And the final thing is Dreaming City and Moon rewards, and that is the spicy topic for sure. So, first let's talk about vendors. Alright, for this piece, when we're talking about the vendors, they bring Justin Dezette, he's the rewards area lead, in to talk about this stuff. And he said the rewards for continuous ritual playlists, picture, strikes, Crucible, Gambit, has been subject to come up on several times we've thought about over the course of Beyond Light discussions. So they got a few things that they're going to be doing. First, they're going to be adding 2 unique weapon rewards to each of the 3 playlist rituals. So a total of 6. These weapons are in addition to ones added in the Season of the Hunt, and will continue to have a small chance to drop at the end of each activity. So if you picture the world loot pool, whether you go to Crucible, Strikes, Gambit, the basic that can drop in there, not like raids or anything too specific, the world loot pool, if you go into Crucible, it's going to have 2 specific weapons for Crucible that can drop. The ones that would come from Strikes, the ones that comes from Gambit won't be in there. If you go play Gambit, you'll have a chance at those. They'll still be mixed in with the others in the world loot pool, so your chances are not going to be very high, but there are a couple pieces that are going to be at least specific to those playlists, while they will be mixed in with a lot of other stuff. So there's at least a little specificity if you're going after Gambit weapons or Crucible weapons or Strike weapons. There's going to be a few things in there. We already know Grandmaster Nightfalls are going to get some changes, and there's other stuff coming in Season 13, which I'll revamp in another video. But that's how those are going to work. Second, Season 13 for Gambit and Crucible. Valor in... and then eventually they're going to do the same thing for Strikes. They're just not doing it right now. Rank rewards will be visible at the ritual vendors. So picture Shax and the Drifter. Each season you'll be greeted by a row of rewards. Progression toward will be earned automatically as you complete relevant playlist activities. Instead of having rank rewards dropped automatically in your loot system, they will now be picked up manually from vendor list. Now, this is actually a good thing. If you somehow got a rank up and also finished something else and you did too many things at once, you might get 10 things to drop of loot at the same time. A lot of us, at least those who have very full vaults, this guy right here, if you have send like 10 things to your postmaster on accident, that's kind of a problem. So it's kind of good that you're not going to have that issue. You can go to Shacks, pick them up when you want to. Not bad. The rewards that they've got actually are pretty good. I got to be honest. I'm okay with most all of this. I just have a couple of tweaks. So it's going to look something like this. Here's your reputation rewards. As you work through each reputation, you're going to get a couple of pieces. This also is our first preview of what the icon of the next season is going to be like. So this shader right here has this weird little... I don't even know what that's going to be. I'm going to have to look that one up. But it's got a little orb between two big ears, kind of sitting on top of a very squished skull. So that's going to be something that means something. But of course, we don't know what the next season is. So that's the most ridiculous statement ever. But the rewards are going to be as follows. So... for rank 4, 3 upgrade modules. Never a bad thing to get more of those. Rank 7, 3 enhancement cores. At rank 10, first time you do this, you're going to get a shader. You'll get one for Crucible. You'll get a different one for Gambit. After you get the shader, if you go through Crucible up to 200 or 2000 for Legend and you reset and you do it again, next time you come through, you're going to get 3 enhancement cores again. So you're going to get 6 enhancement cores if you go through that progression again. Rank 13, you're going to get 2 enhancement prisms. Rank 16, you're going to get the Ritual Emblem. And then if you do it again through Legend, like, say you go all the way up to 2,000, reset. Second time you come through to rank 16, you'll get 2 more Enhancement Prisms. So after your first time through, the grind is actually going to be pretty good. If you get up to 2,000, your reset reward is an Ascendant Shard. After you get the first Ascendant Shard, if you reset, it's going to be an exotic engram afterwards. That's the only one I have the issue with, and it kind of looks like this. So after you've been through for the first time... upgrade modules, cores, prisms, and 1 shard. Now, or exotic. Now, I wish, honestly, somehow they would give you more of a chance. If somebody wants to grind out 5 resets of Crucible, more power to them, for one, because that is not a short thing to do. And if there are boosted Valor weekends, that would give people even more incentive to get a boost in Valor, or play on those weekends when Valor is very high, Iron Banner, stuff like that. And if you actually did manage to get, your reset up 5 times, you might get 5 golf balls. For somebody who's likely a solo player, and this is their way to grind some materials, the prisms are going to help. You can use those to buy a shard, but it does take 10 of those, so it's not just a gimme. You have the ways with the ghost, where if you do precision hits, or you can also do it in strikes, I forget the specifics there. I just wish maybe even if it was a shard once and then it was exotic, and then a shard another time and an exotic, just to give you a couple more chance. For somebody who wants to grind the living daylights out of the Crucible playlist, throw them a few more shards. I don't think that's going to break anything, because this is more for the person who wants to grind this out separately. If somebody's going to be really dedicated to the game, they're probably in the Grandmaster Nightfall playlist or Master Nightfalls, and they have all the shards that they need. So giving a little bit to those players that are trying to grind this out on their own, I honestly would say it's okay. I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and they might, have more viable armor sets. And we'll talk about the reason why more materials being available would be a good thing. So overall, I like the cores and prisms. I think this is actually a pretty cool system, and it's nice to be able to see what you're progressing towards. I just wish maybe the exotic engram, which unfortunately also devalues exotics in my eyes, but that's a different video altogether. But if you're going to sit there and take the exotic, maybe swap it back and forth for a shard. At least give somebody an option. So that's mostly it. Also, that does mean your Crucible and Gambit, your Crucible tokens, I don't know if the Strike tokens are going away. They did not say that, but Crucible tokens are going to be junk in Season 13. So you have 1 month to turn in all of your Crucible tokens. This coming from a guy who has 5,000 Crucible tokens. It's going to be a minute for some of us. So I'm not getting anything too valuable out of those. But yeah, if you got Crucible tokens, turn them in, because they will be useless when Season 13 starts in about a month. I think it's February 9th. So that is piece 1. Number 2, some people may be happy about this one. Some people may not. This is going to be the Revenant Shadow Dive and the Whisper of Fissures. Now, this combination is very popular in high-level PvP. Listen to something like Firing Range. You've got Fallout, Cool Guy, Drewski, Kamikakes, and Mercules. I wouldn't want to fight any of those guys in PvP, but they know how strong Shadow Dive is. Now, you can play against it and try and counter it and try and bait it out, as they've said, but it is still very, very, very strong. So, it's being looked at. Now, when you look at some of these numbers, you're also going to notice the change of these numbers is huge. So it's very interesting to see that some of these things were this out of whack from testing. And maybe they're like, hey, it seems fun. It could be a little broken, but we're going to let the community have it. And then we're going to look at the data and change it. Seems like that's what happened. So they're going to reduce the potency of Shatter Dive and Whisper of Fissures against Guardians. So this is one big asterisk first. It does not sound, at least sound is the key word, like it will affect PvE in any way. So if that's the case, that's not a bad thing. Balancing PvP is got to do it at some point. And it's going to go live on Tuesday, January 19th, so it's actually not that far away. Shatter Dive now has damage fall off versus unfrozen targets, so if you don't get frozen, it's not going to just obliterate you instantly, at least not as bad. Max range damage is reduced from 50 to 5. Now, when you're talking about 1/10 of anything, that's a huge change. Now, I don't know why that's quite as far off as it was for a value, but that seems pretty drastic that it was not even close to what it should have been. Damage reduction during ability reduced from 50% to 25%. So basically, while people are doing Shatter Dive, they could almost survive a super hit, and now they shouldn't be able to, is probably my guess is what this number is going to do. The other piece is Whisper of Fissures. They reduce the maximum to minimum, so that's what these are going to read for all of them. Damage versus non-super players from 42 to 22 to 30 to 4, so it's definitely a much lower minimum. The damage for supers, it's even smaller, so 16 to 2. Again, it was 42 to 22, so no difference. And then reduce detonation radius versus players from 10 meters to 9 meters. So not much difference there, which is odd, but it is going to change it up a little bit. So if you do go into this one, you're going to have to be noticeably more accurate, and you won't blow somebody up with ice crystals from halfway across the map. Most people are probably going to be happy about that, but as you can see, investigate the efficacy of Stasis Titan Behemoth Super. That's the next thing that they want to do. So believe me, the Titan is going to get looked at, and some things are probably going to change. My guess, the mobility of the melee, but I will definitely say, as much as I miss with the melee, I'm probably terrible with the melee, so that's my own doing. But I will say, the fact that I can miss as opposed to like shoulder charges and things, I've missed plenty. It does have a lot of mobility and movement, but I'm very curious what they do with that. They have a couple other things they want to do. They will address stasis ability outliers, will help us lower the ceiling of stasis so it's not quite as high. And when they state this, they say they want to improve the PvP subclass usage and win rate balance. So if you think of like, how many wins a class is getting, stasis is probably way up here, and most of the light subclasses are down here with like top 3 Dawnblade and 1 or 2 others here, and most of them are down here. So they want to try and bring that spread closer together, which means these are going to come down a little bit, but hopefully the light subclasses are going to get a decent buff so they're more viable in PvP to compete with Stasis, because being frozen is kind of rough. Finally, they want to review our ability to gunplay balance in PvP. We had Ascendant Nomad on here. He's talked about that. I've heard it a couple other places. There are so many abilities. I think Mercules, I heard on Firing Range, said it too. I listen to a fair amount of podcasts just to try and stay up on everything as much. But abilities are overrunning what's going on in the game. If you spec into Intellect and hide in the back of a map on Trials, you're going to have your supers up pretty quickly. Shatter Dive, if you go into melees, your dodge can be up every like 7 seconds or something ridiculous. That type of stuff, if people go heavy into builds, it's not a bad thing to be able to go into a build. In my opinion, it's something that should be viable. But on the other side, this is a first-person shooter, and if most people are playing abilities over guns, the balance is kind of out of whack. But the issue there is they're looking at restoring a better balance where proper gunplay is rewarded in these playlists. And they say, especially in 3v3, the usage of abilities has climbed as we introduce more and more ways to charge them quickly. I like the idea, like you've got Demolitionist, you've now got Thresh, you've got, stats and exotics and things that let you use your abilities much more frequently. Unfortunately, the only way I read this, or at least one of the ways you can read this, probably not the only one, is the fact that, hey, we're going to make your ability recharge time slower so guns get more use. Now, in a shooter, theoretically, that's a good thing, but also everybody enjoys their space magic, so they have a very delicate line to walk, and I honestly don't have a perfect answer of what that's going to be. It is fun to use your super, but also a roaming super that can kill like 5 enemies on one team because you can jump around the entire map and it lasts so long. That's also a bit extreme in a PvP match when you like 2 supers could like swing a match. So it's a delicate balance, and I don't know what they're going to do But that would be a fear of mine, is that ability cooldown is lowered so much that, again, you're back to a point where it's a lot less fun to be in PvP, and it's a lot more about just the guns, and you barely see the abilities. So the balance there is going to be interesting. So that's most of it for the PvP changes for Stasis. So now let's talk about the fun one. So to some of you, this stuff is going to look familiar. You on the left, you have Dreaming City weapons and armor. On the right, you have Shadowkeep / weapons and armor from the moon. Now on the left, you have a rocket launcher, a shotgun, a hand cannon, and a scout rifle. On the right, you have a rocket launcher, a pulse rifle, a sniper rifle, and a slug shotgun. So you have 2 shotguns and 2 rocket launchers already. Hand cannon, scout, pulse, and sniper. So not every archetype is hit. You also have this armor. Now, some of us have been playing for a while, and we've been through the Forsaken expansion for the Dreaming City stuff. That's the Reverie Dawn. And then we've been through Shadowkeep for the Dreambane set, and that's coming from the moon. Now, let me talk about why I'm showing you this picture. So first, this is where they actually bring the rewards area lead Justin Dezet in, and he spoke about some changes that are going to be made to gear in Season 13. So first, let's review a list of what you'll see starting in Season 13. They're going to reissue Dreaming City Reverie Dawn and Moon Dreambane armor. Now, I'm going to read all of this, and then I'm going to talk about it. So, give me a second. These will also drop with high stats when earned in Shattered Throne and Pit of Heresy. That's not a bad thing. The final chest in Pit of Heresy will no longer drop a fully Masterwork Dreambane armor piece. Now, right now it does this, but it's sunset, so it doesn't really do you any good. Instead, Dreambane armor pieces... The Dreambane armor piece that drops from the final chest in Pit of Heresy will have 7 armor energy, which is... I'll get to that in a second. And is guaranteed to drop with at least plus 16 in 2 different stats and a high stat roll overall. High stats in my mind is at least 60, so hopefully they're thinking the same thing. Dreambane class items will not drop from the final chest, which is a good thing because that doesn't have any stats, so that's always a waste. Reissued 4 weapons for Dreaming City with new reward perk pools. Waking Vigil, it's the hand cannon, Sleepless, rocket launcher, vouchsafe, scout rifle, and retold tail shotgun. It is not a slug shotgun. It is a precision frame, though. Dreaming City weapons that drop in Shattered Throne can roll with perks that are unavailable from drops from other reward sources, whether it be Ascendant Challenge, random chests, whatever. The Shattered Throne will have certain rolls, so I'm very curious how that's separated out. Similar thing here for the moon. 4 weapons reissued. Premonition, only from Pit of Heresy. That's the pulse rifle. It's the only place it ever came from. And then Heretic, which is the rocket launcher. Blasphemer, which is the shotgun. And Apostate, which is the sniper. Previously, all 3 of those dropped from Altars of Sorrow. If you do an Altars of Sorrow right now, they drop as Sunset. They literally are... You could get a drop from finishing Altars of Sorrow, and you can't even take that thing to Europa. Finally, they said they're expanding the Legend Lost Sector and Master Lost Sector rotation to include all 4 on the moon. That's a positive. I'll start there. The Legend Lost Sector and Master Lost Sectors, those are cool. I like those as a solo player. Now, being as they're the only place to get the new exotics, I don't know if I love it, but depending on how quickly they put what exotics are in the Lost Sectors into other places in the game, if it's just a seasonal basis, we'll see. I like them as a solo player. Some people have struggles with, like, you know, a Legend Lost Sector because, you know, there's stuff in there. You die a couple times, you might get booted out and not get your chance. So not everybody loves it. I'm a fan of, at least it makes you strive for the exotic. But I understand for some players, you may be like, well, I'm not going to be getting a new exotic for a little while because I can't go get this piece of gear. So before I give you guys my thoughts, I want to read what they say. We're making these changes to help preserve the relevancy of the destinations. Right now, the moon and the Dreaming City don't drop anything of relevancy, so I get that, but that was their choice. Specifically, some of the pinnacle in-game activities that still exist there. Now, bringing Pit of Heresy and Shattered Throne back into being something that has a purpose to do, I've asked for this, just in a different way, but this is a good thing. To get more specific around the actual experience, activities where reissues are acquired will be heavily weighted towards rewarding reissued gear over capped gear. And by that means, and they even say it again, though the exact weighting and mechanisms may differ, for example, in the Dreaming City, if you have already obtained an infusion-capped weapon, it will not drop for you again. So for older players like myself, if I have a weapon like an old Waking Vigil or a weapon that I can't think of that's not on this list, I won't get it again. I'm not going to be getting anything that doesn't do me any good. Now, for newer players, they're going to see some stuff they get that they can't use. That's going to complete their collection because they might be missing some of those things. But then once they have them all, they won't see them again either. So there will be some random drops that fall that aren't going to help them at all, which they might have a little bit of a question mark over their head. But after the one-time drop on weapons that are sunset, they're not going to see those anymore. So this is the big, giant, spicy topic. And this is going to be the one where it definitely matters in perspective. For a new player, somebody who may have bought the Forsaken campaign just recently or hasn't played Shadowkeep yet, they're going to be going through and they're going to hit their little checkbox of all the old stuff they need, but they're going to be getting weapons they never played with before. They got a Waking Vigil. Hey, I got this Blasphemer shotgun from Altars of Sorrow. All of that being said, that's not a bad thing for a new player. Now, for many of us who've been following my channel for a while, a lot of people in the Twitter community in Destiny, which is the big vocal group. Again, the vocal minority, believe me, there's a lot of people out there who don't play as much, don't have everything in the game, so they may think this is not that big of a deal. Some of this is positive. The final chest in Pit of Heresy not dropping Masterwork, I kind of wish there were places where that did actually happen. The fact that it's up to 7 armor energy, you can get up to 7 by still on using enhancement cores, which are probably the easiest currency of all the enhancement to come by. And now guaranteed with plus 16 and 2 different stats, that's actually cool. So, I mean, say you get something with like a 65 and 2 things are at least plus 16, and you've got, and they fall on like intellect and recovery, and you're like, sweet, I'm set. Like, you could get some good rolls there. They're not all going to be that way. You've got RNG, but heavily weighted stat rolls is something people go for. So the fact that 2 of them are going to be pushed out a little farther, you're not going to get just like 10s down the board. That's going to give people some rolls that they want. Gives you a chance to go after some high stat rolls. That's overall not a bad thing. My major issue, for one, we're getting the armor and 8 weapons reissued back into the game that we have had in the game for Dreaming City, 2 years, Moon, 1 year. And the issue with the Moon is almost worse because it literally just got sunset in Season of Arrivals right before. So it came out in Season 8, 9, 10, 11. It was available for 4, and then at 11, it got sunset. And now we're going back, and you have to get it again. So here lies the big issue with reissues. For one, you're not getting new stuff. So if you have been playing for a while, then it's not really going to be big incentive for me to go get another retold tale. Now, why not? Well, let me show you. I switch over to Destiny Item Manager, and don't mind, my vault is a mess, so sorry to everybody who this is going to throw off. But here's my retold tale. It's sunset in Season 11. We are now in Season 12, so I cannot make it any higher. What perks do I have on this thing? I have Rifled Barrel, Accurized Rounds, Quick Draw, Snapshot Sights, and I have a Range Masterwork, and I have a Precision Frame Shotgun that I have enjoyed using with 96 range. What do you want in a shotgun? You want to hit them as far as possible. I have this already. Now, I don't know what the rolls are going to be, so I feel like they're actually pushing us to different directions in the rolls. Mine are actually not, for a change, reload speed and damage, which is what they are trying to steer us away from, if you've noticed. They're trying to get away from Outlaw, Feeding Frenzy, stuff like that, Rapid Hit. They're also trying to get away from Rampage, Kill Clip. They're still there, but eventually I feel like if they could get rid of those, they would probably love to. But here's the issue. It's like, I'm going to go back into the Dreaming City and I can earn another retold tale. The RNG on getting a retold tale that I want, or is going to be nearly as good as the one that I have currently sitting in my vault, doesn't do me any good, but I can go use it in normal Crucible. Not great. So this is going to happen. Vouchsafe is the same way. It's the Scout Rifle. I had the curated roll. Now, is that the best roll for everybody? No, but it's the one that has a very specific choice and perks. It's a pretty solid roll. I had that as well. Waking Vigil. I had a decent one. Sleepless. I had Cluster Bombs and Tracking. I'm pretty sure on 2 of them I deleted both. I have gone through and deleted almost every one of these weapons because I had them at one point, and I probably had reasonable rolls if I cared enough to grind them out. I never got a great Premonition from Pit of Heresy, so I never got a great Pulse Rifle there. Maybe I'll be able to get one of those from Pit of Heresy only, but still, we're getting armor that some of us have already had again. We're getting weapons that some of us already had again, and your incentive to go re-grind it out is honestly very small in my opinion. Now, there are going to be new perk pools. I get that. There could be some interesting combinations. You've got Chain Reaction, you've got Thresh, you've got some other stuff that's in there, but some new perks on a gun that I've been using for, say, 2 years with that retold tale, or, yeah, 2 years, I don't want to do it again. And that's kind of where we are, is a lot of people are sitting at a point to where they've done these grinds before. Ask some of the crazy PvP players how many apostates they grinded out in Altars of Sorrow trying to get their god roll. Rapid hit, box breathing, I don't even know what they're probably snapshot sites, box breathing, something like that. So they could use it in PvP to have it sunset like 2 months ago, just to have it reissued 3 months later. You know, if somebody spent like a month grinding one, and you trust me, people spend a lot of time on these grinds. And if people have spent that long on a grind, I wouldn't do it again. Some people may want to, but I can tell you it doesn't feel good to even have to consider doing it again because you've done it once. Now, the idea of sunsetting is something I was supportive of. Why? Because of how I thought it could be handled. The way sunsetting by limiting the amount of weapons we have available and then having reissues exacerbate the issue is where I have the main problem. I can go through my vault, and last season I had a Night Watch, which was a scout rifle from like Season of the Drifter, and then Season of Arrivals. I got the exact same copy. Same thing happened to, a couple other weapons. And this is the point where Bungie, I think, needs to wonder what they're doing to the idea that people are going to have in their head of the longevity of the game. Am I going to put my time and effort into grinding for a god roll, for one, to have it go away in a year, two, potentially have it thrown back at me that I have to grind after again with some slightly different perks, and then three, armor is a complete travesty at this point, because I'm going to say this to everybody at this point, and I'm going to say it on the podcast tomorrow. They have already said armor is going to get some substantial changes, potentially, I would imagine, around Witch Queen. It's usually when they do big changes like that. What I would probably call an armor 3.0, because currently we're in 2.0. That being said, if you get a good set of armor in Season 12, I would keep it and enjoy it, whether it be the raid, whether you masterwork a set, because it will take you through Season 12, 13, 14, and 15. It's going to take you through this year. And whenever they roll out the new changes to the armor, whether it be stats meaning differently, mods functioning a different way, however they change up armor, because right now, if I get a set of armor in Season 12, it sunsets in Season 15, and then in Season 16, what do I want? Well, I want the armor that I currently have. I just can't use it, so I'm just going to try and replace what I had with something new that's almost the exact same. That doesn't feel good. It's not going to be better. It's not going to be improved. That's the state we're in right now. They said they want to change that, which is good. But that also means your grind for armor in Season 13, 14, and 15 is likely going to be, its relevancy is going to be shorter and shorter and shorter as we get close to the revamp of armor. So, the combination of armor having next to no benefit to me grind for, and then weapons being reissued on a continuous basis, whatever season is next, there's an icon out there, don't know what that's going to be, but on the other side, getting weapons reissued that I've already had before, almost the exact same rolls coming through, and then being like, well, I've already had this gun, but I have to earn the same thing again, that's where it feels bad. So I know there's a world of limited resources for Bungie, and they're trying to do what they can to make things possible. But what sunsetting theoretically could have done, and the way, expansions make old stuff less useful, because you introduce a whole bunch of new stuff with a new expansion. World of Warcraft is a bad analogy for a lot of things. But if you take an expansion like Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, and you take vanilla World of Warcraft, and you take Burning Crusade. I was level 60 max here in World of Warcraft, and when I started to get to level 61 and 62, much less level 70, I couldn't use this stuff anymore. Why did it not matter? Because there were so many new different things to earn up here, whether it was just a little bit stronger, because there was actually progression, my numbers kept going up, but so did the numbers on my armor, so did the numbers of my damage. Our number right now, for what we do, only number that changes is your power level, whether it be 1260, but that's just a combination of things. All I'm doing is plugging in slots to make that number higher. It's not like I got a gun that does 20 more damage. That's different. So I know that's a bad analogy, and I know I didn't flesh it all the way out, but the idea is Shadowkeep, we were level 1050 or 1060, and then we're now, at the end of that whole year, now we're like 1260 by the time we're starting this one. So yes, I got higher, but now I'm getting the same stuff I was getting back here again. That's where it feels bad to me. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Again, this video ended about 30 minutes, so re-recording it didn't shorten it, it just changed the order of things. And I got to organize my thoughts a little bit. All of that being said, if you guys do want to discuss this, if you guys want to be part of chat tomorrow, as I said, the last word, 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night. We will be recording episode 132 with IRL Titan. Should be a fun, spicy podcast. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and alert bell. You guys will be hopefully getting my videos coming to you as we get back into more and more content on the channel. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Leave a comment if you have thoughts about all this stuff. Give me more to talk about in the podcast tomorrow. And you also can always find me on Twitter and Twitch. It's Ebontis on both. I do stream a lot of things, just not always Destiny. So thank you guys very much for watching this one. Hopefully this makes sense to you guys, and I'm very curious of your thoughts. So comments, please, below. I'm very curious to kind of gather as much information as I can and try and see where the community is at. Thank you all very much. I'll see you soon.